Test recording. Okay, thank you, Ivan. Now you just shut the fuck. Oh, I can't even check if that worked. Okay, right. Do you want to give this a shot?
Yeah, let's try, yeah.
Okay, just remember that it's recording the audio your end as well. So if you move around a lot, it makes sound.
Okay.
Okay, right. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Lifting Life podcast. Nearly forgot what it's called. Episode 2. This time we have Jayme Pryorwoods, my fellow coach with me from Dedicated by Design. Say hi, Jayme.
Hello.
Nice, nailed it. We have just spent literally the last half an hour getting the audio works. So we've been chatting for a bit already. Now, the people probably know who Jayme is because obviously this podcast is from the both of us. But Jayme, do you want to introduce yourself, say who you are, what you do, why you hate me so much?
I am Jayme. Been coached by Callum now for several years. And as of just recent, and now a coach for Dedicated by Design.
Beautiful. So we would go through more of the details specifically about Jayme, but he's not that interesting. We'll go through some bits and questions and get Jayme to chat rather than just asking him questions about himself, because everyone sent us some more on the Q&A that we put out. We're also recording this for YouTube, so Jayme, remember, I'm filming your face. Coffee's key, and that's Jamie's child in the background. Okay, so some of the questions that we had, we're just going to crack and get straight into, but I think it's probably better to start with some that are more personal. So Jayme, how did we meet?
My first competition, it was in Basildon, Essex. Callum was coaching or handling at the time. I was in the warm-up room. I was doing squats. I remember what I had on the bar as well. I remember it vividly.
Oh.
Yeah, it's cute. 160 on the bar, and you literally just went, you were watching me do it, and you went, nice, mate. And then that was it. Then I didn't even speak to you for the rest of the competition, I don't think, but that was literally all you said. But after that, like having watched, I watched you, handle and stuff. I was like, that guy knows what he's on about. And then I think you'll probably remember me messaging you. I injured my leg, my knee, and I sort of messaged you.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Because my knee really hurts. And you sort of like, I can't remember exactly what you said at the time, to be fair, but it went from there, really.
So if anyone doesn't know, me and Jayme are both in the same weight category. So the chances where I saw someone in my weight category and was keeping an eye, and I don't actually remember that at all. I don't remember that competition the slightest, which makes me feel bad, but I'm sure it'll come back to me at some point. But I do remember getting started with coaching. And then Jayme, I don't know how quick it was, because obviously it's quite a few years ago now. But since then, now it's become more like a little brother, and it's probably less of, yeah, nice, mate, and more of, don't be a bitch.
Yeah, it is definitely turned into.
The relationships have changed slightly. Favorite thing and worst thing about Jayme?
Oh God, here we go.
I'll go favorite thing of like, so definitely work off each other, because we're competitive with each other, but it's like, it's supportive and also somewhat abusive. So it's like, it's a really nice relationship we've got going. Worst thing is, it's just such a long list. I mean, right now, if you're watching on YouTube, it's probably the bum fluff, like just the inability for this beard to get full growth. It's hurtful. It really is. How quick does he take to reply? Jayme. It depends on the time of day. He's pretty quick. If he's mid squat and he wants help, it is fast. Okay, so Jayme, this one's for you. How competitive are you two with each other?
I don't think we're at the limit of how competitive we could be yet. Because we haven't competed together.
Yeah, we've literally never been on the same platform. Did we compete around the same time? because you obviously did Worlds in, was it 2019?
Yeah.
And I think that was the last year I competed at all, but it wasn't on the same platform.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because you didn't do the nationals either in Edinburgh because you
No,
were coach. I was with you then, so.
But I competed in the GBPF later that year. But
yes,
yeah,
you did. Yes, you did.
We've never really had the chance to go
No.
toe for toe. But are we competitive? Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's fair to say yeah, because it will literally be a case of like sending each other our lifts, be competitive with what we've hit. It's usually supportive. Like I think it's a good thing because obviously me and Jayme being in the same weight category and very similar lifters, minus the fact he gives up and pulls sumo. But otherwise, like we're
oh god,
one of the questions is about sumo, so I thought I'd drop it in early. And also with being competitive and being similar lifters, who has the louder hype shout? I'd say like pre-hype, I'm probably louder. Post-hype, you are definitely louder.
Yeah.
Jayme celebrates harder than I do.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was looking at this the other day. I was watching your 270 double or whatever it was on. Was it your double or 272? Sorry. Or it might have been your paused. I can't remember. But yeah, I was watching that and I was thinking how short and abrupt your celebration is at the end.
Literally, it's like a half
mine
second.
is very I say prolonged. It's not. It's probably a couple of seconds longer than what yours is, but that seems to make the difference.
See, difference there. So Jayme's all about the end result and I'm all about the foreplay. So it's the celebrate, like I induce a breakdown. So my celebration is very much on the brink of just trying to get air back in me. But you're a bit more mentally stable. So it's a very different outcome.
Yeah.
Who goes more red when you deadlift? Jayme, absolutely. I see the look on your face, like mid that 260 pull last week, like that man nearly died.
Everyone says it to me and they always go, the veins, man, the veins in your neck.
Honestly, do you find, okay, so this one we can both answer. So obviously we both coach for DBD, we've both got a number of clients. Do you find coaching sumo lifters more difficult oh wait, that's for me because I'm conventional. So let's do it back and forth. So do you find teaching conventional harder because you pull sumo, and do I find teaching sumo harder because I'm conventional? I got way confused there. You'll go first.
Yeah. I want to say no because I've done conventional as well, and I did conventional. I have done conventional longer than what I've done sumo. But I found that sumo sort of just clicked with me better. So I feel like it's more suited for me, but in terms of like trying to teach it to someone, I don't think it's particularly any different struggle wise for me to sort of say what people need to be doing. I
think like the benefit, so you've pulled conventional, I pulled sumo for.
You've done sumo as well, yeah.
Yeah, so on and off. So I've pulled sumo up till like 260, but like technically I'm shite. But the movement, like if you understand the mechanics, you can still teach it. I would say that when I think of them, so if I think about squats, I might immediately put myself in that person's shoes and try to think how that feels, what that sensation is. And I suppose that memory or that sensation is a bit more distant for me with sumo. So like when you're thinking about how that wedge feels, I can think of it exactly on my conventional, but I can't think of it exactly on my sumo. So I'm not going to say I find it harder to teach, but it might be a less of a personal bias of sensation and more of like just an expectation of mechanics.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Okay, what else? Well, there's a lot of questions on here. We won't do them all because some of them are boring. When and why did you decide you wanted Jayme to be a coach? I don't know how long I've been coaching Jayme for, but we've been friends for a very long time. Excuse me. So I have to avoid a personal bias where I'm like, I like this person, I'd like to work with this person. But Jayme is a very sound coach and personal training beforehand, which there's a question about in a bit, as well as currently. But it's always been a case of like, just there's a number of people I keep an eye on what they do and whether or not I'd like to work with them and their lifting style. But like being very good friends, knowing that Jayme is very reliable, depending what you're asking of him. Maybe if it's to hit depth, that might be harder. But if
this has turned into a roast, isn't it?
you expect different, honestly. If people are listening to this, I promise we are friends, all three of you. So we yeah, we got along very, very well, but I've been keeping an eye on Jayme's quality of work. And when his clients post, I was looking at like what they were doing week to week. Jayme knows that I'm incredibly anal with detail. So all of his work was watched quite heavily. And then I think I decided probably 6 months before I even offered it to him. And then kind of just suggested the idea. And I don't think you really delayed in saying yes.
No, I didn't, not at all.
Jayme, what made you decide to say yes then?
Oh, because I'd be stupid not to. Definitely. Yeah, no, it was just, I knew it was the correct way to go, or the best option for me to go. Not just in terms of, like a business standpoint, being on board of DBD, which is, ambition wise going to be very, very big. So it was a business decision, but it was also that you're my mate. And I was like, I want to do this with Callum. So, yeah.
My feelings. Okay, so are you both going to compete this year?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm a strong maybe. Jayme's a strong being told yes. I desperately want to see Jayme back on the platform. So I never would push any other lifter to compete. I'd be like, it's your choice, you're cool. Jayme needs to compete. Jayme's gonna compete. So Jayme, you'll definitely be on the platform this year. If anything changes, then maybe early next. But this year, I don't know. We'll find out if I ever compete again. Yeah, we'll see.
You will.
To be confirmed. Oh, I saw this question and thought, are there any better people to answer this? Have any of you, either of you, had to overcome any injuries? And if so, how did you overcome them? Jayme, between us, have we ever not been injured?
No. I think we've had absolutely everything that could possibly go wrong.
Which doesn't seem like a good ambassadors of our own training, but because we've made so many mistakes, we have learned. But honestly, I think between us, so I'll do short lists. So obviously I've had like things like tendonitis, blah blah blah, they're boring. I've had significant knee issues with meniscus tear. I've had SIJ dysfunctions, bulging disc issues, shoulder impingements, and the hip flexor tear. That was significant. So all of those are my major ones. Jayme, what about you? What you had?
Well, all of what you just said, but the hip flexor tear I've had 100%. And then it is more just that like ongoing tendonitis sort of bugging pain that won't go away.
I think every now and again we have flare-ups of old things. And I think it is an advantage as a coach to be like, look, I know what happens if we just push. I know what happens if we let these underlying issues like grow. And it's why I say to Rachel, again, if you're listening and you don't know who that is, that's my other half. But I say that I'm a much better coach than I am athlete, because I get carried away. I make bad decisions when it's my training, but always have a lifter being like, this is very conservative. I'm like, trust me, don't do it.
It's not worth the risk.
How would you say you've overcome the bulk of your injuries?
Moaning to you.
This is true. Jayme, I consider a hypochondriac sometimes, but only because we've been hurt so many times. But I think there's some days where it's floating pain. Something's going to hurt. Some days I feel like you make it up.
I really don't. I really don't.
Oh, dear. So this one's just for you, Jayme. So how did you find the transition from in-person PTs to online coaching?
Well, I'm still doing the in-person as well. But the transition initially was that I was doing just the one-to-one PT. Then sort of COVID was happening. I think it was possibly a little bit before that I started to sort of dabble into it. I guess you could say. But the reason I wanted to do it was obviously I was looking at you and then what you were doing for me, because I was being coached by you, and I thought, I want to do this. So this is years and years and years ago. But yeah, then sort of COVID happened, so then I couldn't go to a gym. People still had stuff at home, so it sort of just happened that way. I want to say I learned a lot of not a lot, literally pretty much everything through you, and not in like a copy and paste sort of way, just the general knowledge of it all, and that helped me transition into it. So the sort of protocol of how I knew and how I still know like online coaching as it is made up of a basis of what I learned from you.
I think it's fair to say in the same way with, so if you know DBD, you know we have Helena as an intern and we have mystery coach, who I don't talk about, but and the same process. So when Jayme got started, the first thing we do is just go through like the protocol, like the baseline, and then it's finding your subjective take on it. So this is how we communicate with the client, but how you develop that with them might be different. And this is the framework of the take that I have with emerging strategies or whatever with programming, but see what experience you have. Because 9 times out of 10, I think a good coach, you can have all of the base knowledge in the world, but your experience is what is going to frame you as a coach. Like that doesn't necessarily mean the bias that you're taking into training, but just the experience that you've got over time of how people respond and what you can do with that. So yeah, I think we developed a lot of framework together. Definitely did that.
Yeah.
Well, I am not responsible for Jayme. There's a question I've got here, which is, how did you find bringing on people to work with you this time round? And rather than answer that as is, so there's a lot of this where I'm saying, in case you don't know, because some of these questions are quite subjective to like knowing the history of me, Jayme, and so on. But so obviously people should be, if they're not, very aware that I had worked with people in the past and made a very big mistake doing so. But instead of this question, Jayme, how did you find coming on to work with me, having known that past experience?
In what sense? How did I?
Did you feel it was like a pressure or a concern, or did you just put it to one side and say that's just not an issue here?
Yeah, I just didn't think that it was a problem whatsoever, because I know me, and we'd chatted about it before it sort of become official. And I thought that we were both on the same sort of terms with each other. There wasn't 1 second any little bit of doubt or pressure or anything like that.
Can I just say how adorable it is that while you say nice things, there's a heart over your head in the video?
I know.
It's just, it really makes the scene. Okay, so another good question. Wait, hold on. What do people not consider but should when seeking out an online coach? So like, what is the thing they overlook?
I want to say that I've had a few people that will sign up to online coaching and expect it's a magic pill. And I feel like that's sort of the benefit of the one-to-one PT that I do, is I feel like you can be held a lot more accountable because you're actually in person with someone. Now, I'm not saying that the online coaching you can't be held accountable, because you certainly can, and the sort of contact that we have with our clients is just as much as what you would, if you were having one-to-one. But that sort of in person makes a difference, I suppose. But yeah, I'd think that people need to realize that they need to knuckle down and do the work and hold themselves accountable, and not just expect the coach to make them better with them not doing anything on their part, if you see what I mean.
I think a way to see that is that people have a lot of focus on what the coach can do for them, but they kind of lack that initial self-reflection of, am I ready to be coached?
Yeah.
That initial bit of like, okay, am I going to actually commit to and I've publicly said I despise the phrase trust the process, but it's invest in a process. Like,
yeah,
if you're going to do this, then you do have to commit to the process. And if you're not going to do it, and from my own opinion as a coach, if you're not going to do it, please fuck off. There is absolutely no need it is literally like having a builder saying, I need to do this as a brick wall, and you turn up with fence panels and being like, why are we doing this together? Like, this doesn't work. And yeah, so I think that self-reflection definitely lacks with some people initially. One of the things I think is way too much focus is just on the price, and thinking that the price has a direct correlation to quality. So I know for a fact we undercharge. I'm somewhat proud of it, but at the same time frustrated by it. And think people see this correlation of some coaches charge £170, or some people charge £40, and they think that is a reflection of what they offer, and really it's not. But then I'd say that one of the biggest oversights would be the clients that they have, and a misunderstanding of the clients they have. So I coach Jayme. Jayme's a world champion powerlifter. It is irrelevant that he is world champion now. It is what we did for the last several years. And you should be looking at where they started, and the fact that like Jayme makes progress consistently. Obviously peaks and troughs, but like still progressing after a number of years. And I think people can see that client you've had for 3 months who's like bright and shiny, they hit records, but you did literally jack shit to get them there. And I think that's the oversight, is understanding the journey of clients, how long someone's coached someone for. Because if you think you're going to be that same world champion in 3 months, then good luck. I'm excited to see it. Barely a question, but sumo versus conventional.
Well, you know I'm going to say sumo, don't you?
To watch, which one would you prefer to watch? Same weight on the bar?
Same weight on the bar?
But yeah.
Probably conventional.
And immediately, like that, ladies and gentlemen, he's turned his back on his own lift.
It's just because conventional, I want to add more to that. Conventional is, it's more, it can be more of a grind, can't it?
It can be more raw, right? Like,
yeah.
Basically, you can fuck it and I want to watch you fix it.
Yeah, literally.
Sumo,
whereas sumo, it's like pop up right by, you're right by lockout, and it just stops dead.
Or it doesn't even come off the floor.
Or it doesn't come off the floor.
I think if you looked at, like, so if you went to Worlds, Nationals, whatever event, and looked at the number of sumos failed, like if they're failed, it's 80% of the time it's off the floor, like it didn't even move.
Yeah.
If a conventional fails, someone still worked. Like they still gave it a shot.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to pick conventional because I've tried sumo and I just can't get hyped for it. And I'm bad at it. And I think that made me biased. I am definitely pulling nearly 20 kilos over your PB. So the worst client horror story. Oh, please don't pick current clients.
you go first. I got to think about it.
I'll be honest. I've had like, so that when you're saying a horror story, I think people want something really dramatic. I've had people that I've had to ask to just leave coaching, where I've been like, look, this isn't working out. You don't do the process. There's literally no point. And that's been a bit dragged out. I've probably had some horror stories that may not be podcastable. So honestly, I do have one that's not a horror story, but was a big heartbreaking moment for me. So I had a lifter go to Commonwealth, big competition for a bench only. And it's not a horror story, but it's stuck with me. And it's been a very big learning curve where she went, and I had a false representation of what the numbers were like going into competition. And so we picked openers, and she changed opener on the day, which I was very stressed about because I didn't really go with that decision. And then she bombed out. Honestly, I felt sick and I was going to quit coaching that day because I felt so guilty and responsible. And I had to be reminded a lot. I didn't make that decision, but nonetheless, like that sat with me for so long. And still, every time someone goes to comp, that like handling is why I'm like, it's a stressful thing. And there's a lot of responsibility and I take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Learning curve. What you got for a horror story? What you got?
I really don't think I've got any. Nothing that dramatic. I'd say the same as you. It's just sort of, I've had a couple of clients a while ago now that weren't committed to the process of it, and it was sort of, I felt like although they're paying me, it was like me chasing, like, come on, yeah, like, what are we doing here? Are we,
It's weird, isn't
So
it? They're like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're paying me, but I hope you know I don't do this just. If I did this just for the money, I would do a different job. Like this
yeah,
is a
yeah,
terrible business choice to
yeah,
do
and
this
it's
for a career.
yeah, yeah.
It's like
It was
it's
just frustrating.
yeah. I think it's fair to say we've probably all had a couple of those. Wait, just to check, how many months ago was it you went off program, Jayme? It helps. I do it all the time, but I don't have a
Didn't you?
coach.
Yeah, didn't you just do 162 bench and that wasn't on program?
I checked with my coach and I said yes. So, what's your worst competition horror story?
I don't have one.
You
Oh
ever
no,
had
I
a-
do.
Go
I
on.
do. Yeah, coming second at nationals and not winning.
Oh God, that was hard. I remember that. I have,
But
but also,
we won.
did you? Yeah, I was gonna say, did you not win the worlds
But
afterwards?
we won the world, so it don't matter.
We lost the battle, but we win the war.
But everyone going, it's okay. You did brilliantly. You come second. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't win.
Oh, I was disappointed in you. Yeah, I remember because that lad turned up and had the weirdest attempt selection, but it was like we just weren't prepped for that.
180 to 210. That's what he did.
And then just failed the last lift after.
And then he didn't even do any more on the last one. Yeah.
Such an odd choice.
180
Similar on
to
deadlift. I've never
Yeah, I
seen him
can't.
compete again.
No, I haven't.
I'm
I
glad.
haven't. It's probably because he's broken.
Honestly, that I remember it being like, yeah, I've got like 225, 230 in me. Did the 210, nearly died. I was like,
Yeah,
you
like
need to think
literally
about this.
nearly died. It was RPE 11. It really was.
Bless, but he still beat you.
He still beat me.
My worst competition story was in Scotland. I got called for depth on my second squat, and so the last one I just bottomed it out because I was so frustrated with the depth call. I was like, it's fine, like we'll just retake. I didn't make a big deal of it. Bottomed out my next one, and then that's when my hip flexor tore, and then that hurt, but got the squat, like it was wobbly, and I remember being like, oh, I'm kind of limping, and then I did bench and was like, I've got no leg drive. And then I did deadlift. I was like, this really hurts. And then for the next 6 months, just did not squat properly. I managed to squat 210 at that comp. That was a while back. But the next week, I couldn't squat the bar. And then I just couldn't ever again. And my squat only now feels strong again. And that's been years.
Yeah.
That was a bad time.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. And we might finish with this one, to be honest. So I didn't even say. So if you've listened this far, the irony is we're not going to do these as hour-long episodes unless we've got like something specific. The little Q&A ones we'll brush through. And I think every now and again, rather than do intro to the people who are on the chat, I'm just going to make Jayme chat, and then you can find out about him as we go. But what do all great lifters have in common, in your opinion?
What do all great lifters have in common?
So, Jayme, what do you and me have in common?
Ambition.
Yeah, it's probably simple enough.
Determination. Ambition is a big one.
I think like it's going to be next to impossible to go further if you're kind of done.
Yeah. Ambition, determination.
Jayme's just
this brings on the whole, you've said about it, the discipline and motivation topic, doesn't it?
It's like we named our brand accordingly.
But yeah, I think that's the more I've seen you talk about it, the more I like agree with that. Always wanting to be motivated for that end goal.
I have a big discern for the whole argument of motivation versus discipline. It really bugs me. It's like this whole idea of like, you don't need to be motivated all the time. Like you're not going to be motivated. You're just going to have to be dedicated, disciplined. So it's like, I feel like you hate what you do. Like, I feel like there has to be a point. If you're not motivated at all, mate, maybe change. Maybe do something else.
Yeah.
I would say like the fun thing is we work with a lot of very, very good lifters. And they are very different, like very diverse people. Some people very aggressive, some people very calm, some people like fueled by something to beat other people. Some people couldn't give a shite and they're still better than everyone. I think it's whatever it is that just makes them show up. So whether that's ambition, whether there's some dedication there, whether it's just habit, it's just the people who just consistently do the same thing. I don't even know what they really have in common that like kind of molds them into the same person, because they're so like, if you go watch Joy Namani compete, she's chilled beyond belief. If you ask her what she wants to do, she's like, just keep lifting and see if I get better. Like it's just showing up.
Yeah.
And then if you ask some people, they're like, I just want to be the best in the world. Yeah, I don't know. There's just diverse mentalities towards it all. Maybe none of us are great. Let me just check. I haven't missed any great ones. And then
There was one question that Rachel asked.
Yeah.
She said, if you could pick one characteristic or trait about each other, what would you choose?
Is that
I'll start.
No hesitation.
And you know I've said about it before, but I'd definitely say creativity. And I know, and I do agree with what you've told me in the past is I'll be like, Callum, I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think. And I can't think of anything. You'll be like, yeah, but just think. You just think more. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm really trying here. But I do get it. But I feel like I lack that initial sort of spark or idea that can come to me. But I feel like what I do sort of relate or share with you is that once there is something there, I'm set on that and pursue that with everything.
Yeah, I think because a specific example where that comes from is that poster, which was, Callum, I've made this post. So there was a poster being put up in a gym for the brand, and it's like, Jayme, you go design it, get it done, leave it with you. And he was like, I spent 3 hours, I've done this, what do you think? And I was like, Jimmy, it's shit. It looks properly bad. And he was like, oh, I've tried so hard on that as well. And I'm like, I feel bad. Hold on, give me 3 minutes. Let me send you something. And I shit you not, within 5 minutes, I sent him something. And then just the fury in your voice notes being like, why is that better? Why? That took you minutes. And I think I think that's a lot of practice. Like, I'm not going to.
That's what you said as well. Yeah, you said that.
If you do it enough times, you just get an image for it. Plus, if you've made enough stuff for social media, you get an idea what people respond to. And also, the gift of having ADHD is wonderful for me because my brain does not stop. I think if it was the vice versa, what would I take from Jayme? And we will finish with this because I think it gives you an idea of what Jayme's like. Is you work so much harder than I do. And as much as I work a lot, people know I work a lot, but if we're talking just training specifically, I know for a fact if I write in a program, it is executed down to a T minus depth. I know if it's a chest supported row, every rep was bang on and the RP was as close as you could get. If it's a dead bug, you did not rush, you tried to commit and get it done. And I haven't seen Jayme train in person probably more than a handful of times in my life. I've never seen you do a chest support row in my life, but I guarantee I know it was like well done. And I say it's why he's probably going to be one of the longest running and highest quality lifters I'll ever work with, because he will not stop, which is fucking upsetting sometimes that I can't do it because I have not got the mentality. Main lift, I'll outwork, I'll kill it, I'll do as best as I can, and then 3 accessories in, I'm like, I would like to go home now, I think that's probably enough for the first one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's
the second.
That's a good one to end on, I think.
Perfect. Okay, so the next time around, me and Jayme will do these. We'll do Q&As, but we might just pick a specific topic to go through. If you've listened this far in, then send a message and I'll let you pick what we're going to talk about next time, or at least maybe some of the conversation. And I think that's it. Maybe we'll do one, you, me, and Helena, and maybe Mystery Coach at some point.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And if you've watched on YouTube as well, I hope you've enjoyed the downward angle of Jayme's chin. It's been fantastic. The beard will not grow. If you have watched this on Spotify, please do share it. It does genuinely help. I'm learning this early on about the view count and the star rating, which I didn't know was a thing. I've never done for anyone in my life, but if you've listened this far, please don't give it a 5-star. If you give it a 1-star, fair play. It was funny. And that's it. We'll speak to you next time. Thank you very much for listening. Jayme, do you want to say goodbye to beautiful people?
Goodbye, beautiful people.
Oh, and where can you find Jayme on Instagram? What is your handle?
Jayme.
But no one cares. Right. Spelled funny. No, go on. Sorry, do it. What was it?
Jayme, but it's spelt funny. Jayme. You can blame my mum for that. PPW.
And literally all of that is the handle. Jayme, you can blame my mum for that. BPW. We will speak to you soon. Thank you for listening. Peace.